Welcome to another episode of the Antifragility Reframe podcast, where struggles become strength and stress fuels growth. I'm Dr. Frank L. Douglas, your host, and my guest today is a strategic leadership advisor who has actually been named, among other things, as a top 30 global guru on leadership. Miss Weber, welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy that you are here, and I'm just very curious. Share with us, some part of your journey that led you to what perhaps is your signal statement, the right thing at the right time for the right impact.
You are the first person that has ever asked that question, so I appreciate that question. So, given the work that I do with my clients as a business advisor or coach, I am typically working with them in one of three main areas. The first area is in helping them create very clear, concise strategic plans. So, talking about where they need to take their organization, their company, their agency, if it's a government agency, into the future in very practical ways that ensures viability, success, and that they can achieve their strategies and their outcomes. As part of those conversations, invariably we talk about, given where you need to take your organization, who's going to do that work and who's going to lead those efforts. So we get into leadership planning, workforce planning, succession planning conversations. And then the third thing that I do that I spend the bulk of my time on now is with executive coaching, one-on-one conversations, one-to-group conversations to really help them implement the plans that they're working on, that they've developed. And because of that sequence of conversations, what is a constant through line is, even though the client may have a plan and you may have a timeline, you and I and your listeners know life happens and the best laid plans can go awry very quickly. And a challenge for my clients quite often is, I know what the big picture thing is I'm supposed to do, but what do I need to do right now? Because I have this senior executive mad at me. I have that client asking for this. This isn't working, that isn't working. I just need to know what I need to do now. And it's not that my clients are by any means incompetent. They are brilliant and they are dealing with big issues. It's quite often, as any of us needs, you just need someone who is calm, who is not emotionally involved and invested as you are, to simply help you walk through objectively what is the most pressing, what is the most impactful, what is the most urgent, and what will have the biggest impact if you do it now. And so, because of that through line that has gotten clearer and clearer to me in the past at least 8 years. That's where that tagline for my company really came from, is to help the people that I'm talking to figure out what their next step should be.
As you said that, I just remembered the first job I had in industry when I left academia. Uh, I had a boss who was on many journals as an editor or assistant editor, and I always wondered, how did he do this? And I discovered shortly after I got there, because what he did is, as articles came in, he delegated them to us and
Hmm.
always said urgent. And and of course I'd just gotten there, so every time I saw that, I worked furiously and got it out. But after
Hmm.
a few, it occurred to me that there's something wrong here. So I began
Hmm.
stacking them up on my desk. And one day my assistant came in, all worried, and she said, "You're going to get into a lot of trouble." I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, I'll call him Jack." She said, "Well, Jack, your boss, is going to be very upset. He sent you all of these and you have not responded." And I said, let me show you the difference between urgent and important. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And I dropped it in the trash can. And she about fainted. I
Yeah.
said, I said, if it were important, by now I would have had a note or a phone call asking where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that became something extremely important for me as I led teams in order to get them away from this, was to basically have them ask the question, is it important or is it urgent? Okay. And the only thing I would tell them that you need to address right now is if it is both important and urgent.
Mm-hmm.
But important comes first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The Eisenhower matrix idea. Yeah, absolutely. It's huge. It's
Yeah.
huge. And I mean, and the other thing that happens quite often in it, I think it kind of mirrors your story as well, is there are too many leaders out there that believe everything is urgent, and all that does is confuse your team as to what they're actually supposed to work on. And so again, to my tagline of focusing on the right things at the right time to get the right impact is quite often forcing my clients, no, seriously, you need to clarify for yourself what are the really top three most important things that you need them to focus on right now. And it's easier said than done because it causes a person to change the way they think, to change the way they lead, to change the way they communicate, and to change the way they hold themselves and their teams accountable. So it's not easy.
No, it's not. What are the types of things that you do to help your clients think in that way? Namely, one, as you say, to identify what are the priorities, what
Mhm.
are important, and now how do you do you recommend to them, they go about working with their team, etc., to be sure that their teams become what I call anti-fragile, that they grow from that challenge that they're facing.
One of the things that again, it's been around forever, particularly in the military, but it's not been well used in a lot of my client organizations are after action reviews. And just by helping some of my clients, number one, learn the concept, but then learn some basic tools to start having after action reviews and those types of conversations, it's a situation, Dr. Douglas, that I think you can probably relate to, where not only does it provide a forum to review the challenging situation they've experienced, to identify what worked that they weren't expecting, what didn't work that they were expecting, what they can do differently or do better, or continue going forward, so they have that bounce forward capability. But what it also does is it teaches them to communicate with one another differently and to really focus on collectively what did we learn that we did collectively well and that we can do collectively better next time, so that individually and collectively we're better positioned to bounce forward more effectively. And it's been surprising to me in full candor how that tool has really been a very valuable tool in not only, you know, diagnosing situations for what worked, what didn't work, but really helping to elevate team communication and team culture.
That actually is wonderful. It addresses a couple of things that I talk about with respect to reframing in an anti-fragile way. One of it is shifting perspective, and the after reviews give you an opportunity to shift perspective based on what you have learned.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing which you've addressed, and that is innovating together, working together. What is it we have learned that we can do better together?
Mm-hmm.
And the third aspect is what I call expanding access. And access doesn't just simply mean, you know, going to a different part. It is access in thought, access in approaches. Uh, what are the things that would actually help us if we thought about it and we actually access them, would help us do this challenge better. So tell me, and our 15 minutes is almost there, two or three uh, nuggets, if you like, that you'd like to leave with us in this area.
I'll just share some things that I've been sharing with my clients lately because of, the interesting times that we're in right now are so polarizing, they're so busy. Um, but it goes back to a couple things. One we were just talking about is let's have conversations with our teams to put front and center why we're here and who we're here to serve. Who are our customers and what do they need of us? And to the point that you just made, let's look at how we're doing what we're doing and review, are we doing it this way because it's easier for us, or is it providing a better impact for the customer? And that's gotten messy with my clients over the past number of years. So refocusing on the customer. The second thing that I've been talking with them about a lot, and I'm happy that it's resonating with my clients because one of the things that I do with my clients, because I do strategic planning, and part of that process is always either creating or reviewing and revising their vision, mission, and values. And I really spend a lot of time with my clients helping them create their values, but more importantly, working with them as a leadership team to help them understand how they are supposed to live these values as behaviors and model them and hold themselves accountable and create cultures that allow these behaviors to be embodied day in and day out by everybody who's working for the organization. And many of my clients, in part of their values, have things like, respect one another, respect the ideas of others, those types of phrases. And because of the polarizing times that we're in, I've told my clients, I said, I can understand the challenge of respecting someone if you are aware of their political stance or their stance on social issues right now, and you find them completely opposite of what yours are. I can understand the challenge of respecting that person, but that doesn't negate your obligation to be courteous. And as long as you're taking a paycheck from the organization, or if it's a government agency, you're working for that agency, you may not have to respect the person, but you must still be courteous. And that slight difference has helped a lot of my clients because to me, with respect, there's an emotion that is conveyed with that. And I would rather have the emotion be muted and the behavior be purely courteous. And if that's attainable, then that moves the needle in a positive direction for a lot of my clients.
Yeah, thank you very much. I used to say to to my teams that, the company does not pay us to be sociable and to love each other. The company pays us to be productive and to deliver a product that will be useful to the customer. It just so happens that there are certain behaviors that facilitate that. So why don't we, you know, do those behaviors, courtesy being one of them, uh,
Hmm.
and valuing each other's opinions and thoughts, etc., that enable that to happen.
Hmm.
Ms. Weber, thank you very much. Thank you for the many nuggets that you have given us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.